A man sits at his desk. His name is Mark. The desk is plain in an office full of identical desks. His computer mouse has been acting up for weeks. The cursor sometimes jumps across the screen on its own. It's a small problem, but it makes his work slow and frustrating. The day before, the mouse finally stopped working completely. His manager told him to just buy a new one and expense it. "Get whatever you want, as long as it's under $50, she said. It seemed so simple. Mark bought a new mouse for $25. It works perfectly. Now he just needs to get the money back. He logs into the company's expense portal. The website looks old. The first thing he must do is create a new expense report. He names it Office Mouse. The system asks for a category. He clicks the drop-down menu. The options are client travel, office supplies, bulk order, software subscription, and emergency repair. None of these seem right. Office supplies is for orders placed by the department manager. Emergency repair sounds like a broken pipe, not a computer mouse. He chooses office supplies and hopes for the best. The next page asks for a vendor ID number. He bought the mouse from a local electronics store. He doesn't have a vendor ID. There is a small link that says Request New Vendor. He clicks it. A new form opens, asking for the vendor's tax information, business license number, and 3 trade references. Mark stares at the screen. He cannot ask the store clerk for that information. He goes back and leaves the vendor ID field blank. A red error message appears. The field is required. He thinks for a moment. He remembers that the big office supply chain is an approved vendor. He could have bought it there. He enters that company's name into the system. The vendor ID fills in automatically. The system seems happy with this, even though it is not true. He moves to the next step, uploading the receipt. He took a photo of the receipt with his phone. He uploads the image. The system rejects it. The error message says, "File must be in PDF format under 1 megabyte. Mark size." He finds a website that converts images to PDFs. He uploads the photo, downloads the PDF, and uploads it to the expense portal. Success. He feels a tiny sense of victory. Finally, he must provide a written justification. He types, "My old mouse broke. I bought a new one to continue my work." He reviews the whole report. A $25 mouse listed under the wrong vendor, categorized as a bulk supply order. He submits it. The next morning, he has an email. The subject line is Expense Report Denied. He opens it. The report was rejected by a person in the finance department he has never met. The reason given is, as per Section 4, Paragraph 2 of the Employee Handbook, individual office equipment purchases under $50 must be paid from the department's petty cash fund. Please see your department administrator to be reimbursed. Mark has worked here for 4 years. He has never heard of a petty cash fund. He walks over to the department administrator, a woman named Carol, who has been with the company for 20 years. He explains the situation. She nods slowly. "Oh, the petty cash fund," she says. "We don't have one of those anymore. They got rid of it about 5 years ago because no one ever used it. The handbook is just out of date." Mark asks what he should do. Carol thinks for a moment. "You know," she says, "it's probably easiest if I just give you the $25 myself." She opens her purse and hands him the money. Mark stands there holding the cash. All that time, all those steps, all for nothing. The system was not just unhelpful, it was a ghost. It was a set of rules that pointed to things that didn't exist. He looks at Carol and she gives him a tired smile. They both know the situation is absurd. But it is the situation, so they stand there, 2 smart people, caught in a dumb process that neither of them created and neither of them can fix. This feeling is familiar to almost everyone. The moment you realize you're inside a machine that does not run on common sense, you find yourself following rules that make no sense to reach a goal that gets further away with every step. It is easy to blame the people in these moments. The unhelpful clerk, the rigid manager, the faceless person who denies your request. It is easy to think these people are being stupid. But what if that is wrong? What if the people are not the problem at all? The problem is the system itself. Many of the systems we live and work in are built to produce stupid outcomes. They are designed in a way that forces good, intelligent people to act in ways that seem foolish. This isn't an accident. It is a feature. It is manufactured stupidity. A system can have its own goals. These goals are often very different from the goals of the humans inside it. A person's goal might be to do their job well, to help a customer, or to solve a problem. A system's goal might be to avoid lawsuits, to reduce risk to zero, or simply to grow larger and justify its own existence. And when a person's common sense goal clashes with the system's hidden goal, the system almost always wins. To understand how this happens, we need to look at the parts of the machine. We need to see how responsibility gets lost in the gaps between people. We need to understand the strange logic that these systems follow. And we need to see what living inside them does to our own minds. Imagine a big company. On the homepage of its website, the main phone number is wrong. It has one digit incorrect. Customers who call the number get a strange recording. They get frustrated and give up. The company is losing business every day because of this tiny, obvious error. A customer service agent named Maria is the first to notice. A caller complains to her about it. Maria checks the website, sees the wrong number, and knows it needs to be fixed. Her job is to help customers, so she sends an email to her manager. The phone number on the website is wrong, she writes. We need to fix it. Her manager gets the email. He is busy. His main job is to manage his team's performance, not to edit the company website. He thinks this is a marketing issue. The website belongs to the marketing department. He forwards Maria's email to a contact he knows in marketing. He has done his part. The problem is no longer his. The email lands in the inbox of a man in the marketing department. He sees the issue. He knows it is important. But his job is to write blog posts and manage social media accounts. He does not have the password or the permission to change the main homepage. That is a job for the web development team, which is part of the IT department. So he forwards the email again. Can you guys fix this? He writes. The email arrives at the IT help desk. It is turned into a numbered ticket. An IT worker is assigned the ticket. He looks at the request. He has the technical ability to change the number in 5 minutes. But the IT department's rules are very clear. They are not allowed to change any content on the website without approval from the content owner. They are in charge of the website's function, not its words or numbers. The content owner, according to their chart, is the head of sales. So the IT worker adds a note to the ticket and forwards it to the sales department. The head of sales is on a business trip. She sees the email a week later. She is confused. She thinks, the phone number is a general company resource. It's not a sales tool. This should be handled by corporate communications. She forwards the email. And so it goes. The email, the little digital signal of a simple problem, travels through the company for weeks. It moves from one person's inbox to another's. Each person who receives it is smart. Each person understands the problem. And each person has a perfectly logical reason why it is not their job to fix it. They are all following the rules of their position. They are all doing exactly what the system expects them to do. This is called diffusion of responsibility. In a large system, the feeling of personal responsibility gets spread so thin that it practically disappears. When a task belongs to everyone, it belongs to no one. No single person feels like it is up to them to solve the problem. There is no reward for the marketing guy to chase down the head of sales to get approval. There is only risk. What if he annoys her? What if he steps on someone else's toes? It is always safer to just pass the problem along. This is how obvious problems persist for years inside big organizations. It is how broken processes never get fixed. The system itself is designed in a way that encourages everyone to say, "It's not my job." The structure of the machine makes its own people powerless. The wrong phone number stays on the website and no one is to blame. Think of a public school. A few years ago, the school board was worried about safety. They were concerned about the possibility of violence. To protect the students and to protect the school from any possible lawsuits, they created a new policy. The policy was called zero tolerance. It stated that any student who brings a weapon to school will be suspended automatically. There would be no exceptions. From the point of view of the school board and their lawyers, this rule was perfectly logical. It was simple, clear, and absolute. It removed all the gray areas. It meant a teacher or principal wouldn't have to make a difficult judgment call. The rule would decide. It protected the system from blame. If something bad happened, the board could say, "We have a zero-tolerance policy. We did everything we could." The rule was not designed to help a teacher teach or a student learn. It was designed to protect the institution. One day, a 7-year-old boy named Leo comes to school. It is his birthday. His grandmother gave him a small set of plastic toy soldiers. He loves them. He puts one of them in his pocket to show his friends. The toy soldier is 2 inches tall. It is holding a tiny plastic rifle that is the size of a grain of rice. During class, the toy falls out of his pocket. His teacher sees it. The teacher knows Leo. She knows he is a good kid. She knows the toy is harmless. Her common sense tells her to simply take the toy, put it in her desk, and give it back to his parents at the end of the day. But she cannot. The zero-tolerance policy is absolute. The toy soldier is holding a tiny replica of a weapon. According to the rule, Leo has brought a weapon to school. She has to report it to the principal. The principal also knows Leo. He understands the situation is absurd, but his hands are tied. He has a direct order from the school board. If he makes an exception for Leo, he could be fired. If he lets it go and something else happens later, the blame would fall entirely on him for not following the policy. The system has put him in a position where he must choose between his own judgment and his job. He must choose between what is right and what the rule says. So Leo is suspended from school for a day. His parents are called in. A report is placed in his permanent file. Everyone involved, the teacher, the principal, the parents, knows it is a stupid outcome. But they are all trapped by the logic of the system. The system's goal, which was to eliminate risk, overrode everyone's common sense. It forced them all to participate in an act of profound foolishness. This happens in almost every large organization. The rules are not made for the people, they are made for the machine. This connects to a concept called Parkinson's Law. The law is simple. Work expands to fill the time available for its completion. In a bureaucracy, this means the system will create new rules, new forms, and new procedures just to keep itself busy. It creates work to justify its own existence. An organization with 1,000 people needs to find 1,000 people's worth of work to do, even if much of that work has no real purpose. That is why you might need 3 levels of approval to order a box of pens. It is not because ordering pens is a complex or risky task. It is because 3 layers of management exist, and those managers need to have something to approve. Their jobs depend on it. This creates a world where intelligent people spend their days filling out forms that do not matter and attending meetings that have no point. They are not doing this because they are foolish. They are doing it because the system demands it. To survive in the machine, you must serve the machine, even when what it asks for makes no sense at all. Her name is Sarah. She is 23 years old, and this is her first real job after college. She is hired by a large, well-known company. On her first day, she is excited. She is smart, full of energy, and wants to make a good impression. She believes she can make a difference. During her first month, she is trained on how to do her job. The process involves a lot of manual data entry. She has to copy information from one computer program and paste it into another. It is slow and repetitive. Sarah knows a little bit about software. She sees right away that this process could be easily automated. A simple script could do the work of an entire team in just a few minutes. It would save thousands of hours and reduce the number of errors. She feels a surge of excitement. This is her chance to contribute. She spends a weekend working on a proposal. She draws out a flowchart showing the new, better process. She writes a clear explanation of its benefits. On Monday morning, she proudly presents it to her manager. Her manager looks at her proposal. He smiles a little. "That's a nice idea, Sarah," he says. "But we can't do that. The 2 software systems don't talk to each other. We asked IT about it years ago. It's too complicated." He hands the proposal back to her. "It's best to just stick to the way we've always done it." Sarah feels a little deflated, but she understands. It was a bigger problem than she thought. A few months later, she finds another problem. Her team creates a report every week. It takes 4 people 2 full days to put it together. Sarah realizes that the report is sent to a list of 50 people, but most of them never open it. She asks a few of the people on the list. They tell her they don't find the report useful. It's just another email they delete. Sarah sees another opportunity. She thinks they could either stop making the report or change it to be more useful. She goes to her manager again. "I'm not sure anyone is reading this report," she says. "Maybe we could save time by not doing it." Her manager frowns. "We can't just stop doing it," he says. "A vice president asked for that report 6 years ago. He might still want it. It's not our place to decide." So, every week, 4 people continue to spend 2 days making a report that no one reads. This is what Sarah's first year is like. Every time she has an idea, every time she tries to apply her own logic to her work, she hits a wall. The wall is not made of anger or malice. It is a soft wall made of phrases like, "That's not how we do things here," or "That's above your pay grade," or "You need to fill out a form for that." Now, let's jump forward in time. It is 3 years later. Sarah is still at the same company. She is good at her job. She comes to work on time. She completes her tasks. She is a solid employee. One day, a new person starts on her team. He is young and excited, just like she once was. After a few weeks, he comes to Sarah with an idea. It is the same idea she had in her first month, a way to automate the data entry. He asks her what she thinks. Sarah looks at him. She does not feel the old spark of excitement. She feels nothing at all. "It's a nice idea," she says, using the exact same words her manager used with her. "But it's best to just stick to the way we've always done it." This is learned helplessness. It is a powerful psychological state. When a person is repeatedly placed in a situation where they have no control, they eventually stop trying to exert control. Even when an opportunity to change things appears, they will not take it. They have learned from experience that their efforts are pointless. The system has trained them to be passive. It has taught them that their own intelligence is not welcome. So they turn it off. They give up. It is not because they became stupid. It is a way to survive. It is a way to protect themselves from the constant frustration and disappointment of trying to apply logic in an illogical world. When people are trapped in systems that force them to be stupid, they do not just give up. Sometimes they fight back, but they do it in quiet, hidden ways. They find clever methods to push back against the machine. Two of these methods have become very common today: malicious compliance and quiet quitting. They may sound like new ideas, but they are as old as work itself. They are the natural human responses to being treated like a machine part. Let's look at malicious compliance first. Imagine a manager who is obsessed with rules. He doesn't trust his team. He believes that if he doesn't watch them every second, they will slack off. One day, he decides that the flexible lunch break policy is too loose. He gathers his team and announces a new rule. From now on, he says, everyone must take their lunch break at exactly 12 p.m. and return to their desk at exactly 1 p.m. Not a minute before, not a minute after. The team knows this is a bad idea. Their work involves talking to clients in different time zones. Sometimes a client calls at 12:15 p.m., but the rule is the rule. The next day at 11:59 a.m., the entire team stops working. They close their laptops and stare at the clock. At exactly 12 p.m., they all stand up and walk out. At 12:45 p.m., an important client calls with an urgent problem. The phone rings and rings. No one is there to answer it. At exactly 1 p.m., the team walks back in and sits down. They see the missed calls. They did exactly what they were told to do. They followed the rule perfectly, knowing it would cause a problem. This is malicious compliance. It is the act of following a rule so strictly that you reveal its stupidity. It is a quiet protest. It says, "You want me to be a robot? Fine. Here is what happens when I act like one." Then there is quiet quitting. This is a more passive response. It is less of a protest and more of a retreat. Think back to Sarah, the employee who learned to stop having ideas. Her state of mind is quiet quitting. It is not about being lazy or not doing your job. It is the conscious decision to stop giving the company your extra energy. It is the moment an employee decides to stop offering their creativity, their passion, and their thoughts for free, especially when the system has shown them it does not want them. Quiet quitting is doing exactly what your job description says and nothing more. You work your required hours. You complete your assigned tasks. But you do not volunteer for extra projects. You do not stay late to fix a problem that is not yours. You do not bring your ideas to meetings anymore. You emotionally check out. This is not a failure of the worker. It is a failure of the system. It is the only sane response to a workplace that punishes initiative and rewards passive obedience. It is a shield. People build this shield around their minds to protect themselves from the endless frustration of caring about a job that does not care about them. It is a way of saying, you bought 8 hours of my time. You will get 8 hours of my time, but you will not get my spirit. That part is still mine. So we are surrounded by these systems. In our schools, our governments, our workplaces. They produce absurd outcomes and force smart people into corners where they must act dumb. What can we do? There is no simple answer. There is no secret trick to fixing the whole machine. A single person cannot rewrite the tax code or change the policies of a massive corporation or untangle a government agency. To believe you can is a fast path to burnout. The machine is too big. The real goal is not to change the system. The goal is to see it. The real power is in recognition. It is the ability to look at a frustrating, nonsensical situation and understand what is happening under the surface. It is the ability to see the hidden logic at play. When you are standing at a counter, being told you need a form that no one has, you can learn to see it not as a personal failure, but as a system failure. You can see the ghost of a rule that has outlived its purpose. When your great idea is ignored by a manager, you can learn to see it not as a rejection of your intelligence, but as a symptom of a system that fears change. You can see the diffusion of responsibility and the fear of risk that keeps everyone locked in place. Once you can see the machine, it has less power over you. The frustration does not disappear, but its nature changes. It stops being a personal attack and becomes an observation. You stop thinking, "Am I the crazy one?" and start thinking, "This is another example of a broken system." This shift is small, but it is profound. It protects your own mind. It separates your sense of self-worth from the absurd demands of the machine. You learn to know when you are dealing with a person and when you are dealing with a script. You learn to save your energy. You learn to not expect logic where logic does not live. This is not about being cynical. It is about being clear-eyed. It is about navigating the world as it is, not as we wish it were. By understanding the patterns of manufactured stupidity, you can choose how you engage with them. You can decide when to push, when to comply, and when to simply walk away. The ultimate freedom is not in smashing the machine. It is in seeing the code behind it. When you see the code, you are no longer just a character in the program. You are an observer. And from that position, you can protect what is most important: your own sanity and your ability to think for yourself.